Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And very good evening to you to Newsline Live. We are in different surroundings yet again. I hope you like it. But this evening, I'd like to talk to a guest who knows a thing or two about agriculture and so on, though we are taking a particular view on the challenges that are being faced. This has all been brought about because in the budget there is apparently no direct budgetary plan to promote the main 16 items in terms of agriculture and the different production, like for fruit and vegetable, and of course the national staple rice. And that is obviously worrying for the whole country. And to talk about this, of course, we've got here former Member of Parliament, former Minister and former Governor, Dr. Hemakumara Nanayakkara. Very good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening to you.
And so what on earth is happening with almost everything can be maybe acceptable and tolerable, but to put this country's national staple, rice, at risk is risking the rot of the people, surely?
Yeah. May I start the discussion with a definition?
Right.
If a country's system of politics or system of economy becomes very weak, and if the government loses its control over this, that such a state, such a country is coming under the definition of a failed state. So you and I are living in a failed state. This time the budget was presented for 1 year, but monies were allocated in staggered basis, and also generally the budget should depict the economic policy for the ensuing year. Here nothing of that sort. How to increase the productivity of rice, our staple diet, food, not mentioned. How to increase the extents of cultivation, not mentioned. Whether these varieties can sustain under organic agricultural conditions, not mentioned. Nothing is stated. So with all these things, we see in this failed state, the budget is also an utter failure. May I?
So the budget is an utter failure. Does that mean that Sri Lanka is a failed state?
It's a failed state. You and I are living in a failed state. Sad to say that.
It's incredible. It's incredible because in 1948, Sri Lanka, it would be fair to say, Sri Lanka had rather gilded prospects.
True.
So much so that a small chap by the name of Lee Kuan Yew visited the then Ceylon, and when he went back to his little place, just happens to be called Singapore, he wanted to emulate what was going on in Ceylon. If I was a Singaporean, I would say, thank God he didn't do that. Because just to put a finer point on it, and I promise to shut up after that, Sri Lanka's per capita GDP is around $3,600 thereabouts. Okay, say 4,000 if you want to, but it's not 4,000. It's more like 3,637. Singapore is 59,000 US dollars. What did we do wrong? At least in terms of our agriculture, in terms of our rice. Why can't we be self-sufficient in that?
Now, this country was self-sufficient in rice, but due to the wrong decisions made by this government, we have to on and on we have to import rice from other countries, and we have been importing from India.
Is that because of the big rice millers in this country? Are they fixing the system?
No. They are responsible to a certain extent. I'll take up that point later. But the impact by banning agrochemicals and chemical fertilizers, the repercussion is such we cannot sustain in one of the discussions with you, I mentioned that our crop loss would be something between 40% to 70%. It has come now. It has come true now. 1.8 million farming families are involved in paddy cultivation, farming families. And this figure will go further up if you take non-farming families who are engaged in paddy cultivation. So the government was playing around with a large community like this, and now their incomes levels have gone down drastically. They are unable to purchase their basic needs. They have become paupers.
They've become paupers.
Paupers. Annual extent of paddy cultivation in this country is 870,000 hectares, both in Yala and Maha. And also, from the times of ancient Sinhala kings, water was given as a free resource for cultivation. That was a subsidy given to the farmer to secure the production of rice and to have the food security in this country. They were thoughtful about this from ancient days. Even now the water is given free. But finally, the benefit should come to the government, meaning to the people. Through the government, it should come to the people. But benefit is not coming in that way. The government policies have caused a big reduction in productivity and production of paddy.
Can I say this? So, are you telling me that the water that is given to the farmers, including the big farmers, like the big rice producers, is free?
Yeah, it's free.
They don't pay nothing?
Absolutely free.
Okay, so maybe there's a trade-off. Does that mean that what say does the government have then in the setting of prices?
Government has no stake in no status rather in setting up.
So they can't tell the rice millers, no, excuse me, you need to put your price down because we're giving you some water, which is, I don't know, but if you took a kilo of rice, what do you think is the cost when you take the cost, the pure cost of it? If you would you hazard a guess as to what percentage would be the cost for the water?
I think we'll have to work it out. If I tell these figures, you will sort of get my point better. To cultivate one season of paddy crop, an acre needs 2 to 4 acre feet of water. That is, 1 acre of water is spread to a height of 1 foot is an acre feet. So you need 2 to 4 acre feet of water for 1 acre. This amounts to a volume of 814,620 gallons. So gallon of water, if you value at the rate of 10 rupees, now bottle of water is about 30. That is stable water. Gallon of water at 10 rupees, you can see the massive amount given as subsidy for the farmers in form of water.
So for 1 acre, it's about 8 million rupees if it's at that. If it's 10 rupees.
That's right. And
so for all this, there are a bunch of ungrateful so-and-sos if they are not allowing the government to have some say in the pricing structure.
The point is, government has failed miserably. As I mentioned, it's a failed state. They have no control over the economy, over the rice millers, over the political situation here, nothing. Because of that, rice millers tend to say, we fix the prices. And rice milling today, big time rice milling is an oligopoly. We have to protect the big time rice millers, but we have to break the oligopoly. Oligopoly is a malpractice, in my opinion. And we have to be thankful to these big time rice millers for one thing. They are the people who gave us a quality product as rice. Good old days, maybe 20-30 years ago, You got all kinds of sand, pebbles and various things along with the rice. They have improved the quality of rice by bringing separators and bringing in new technologies. They have produced quality rice and packed in poly bags, and it is being brought to the market. But that doesn't mean they are making a good sum of money on this rice production, processing and marketing. That is okay, but they can't have the right to set the price for our staple food. The government should have the right to do that, but government tried to do that. They failed over and over again because they adopted wrong methodologies.
But you know, this is all back to this thing that the other day I was saying this to another member of parliament. That Sri Lanka has this sort of our side by eye attitude. You know, our side to do all these things, but by eye to put their foot down where it matters. They stick their finger in the podgy little pies and put their foot down at the wrong time, where they shouldn't. But where they should, like in the cost of the ultimate selling price of of our staple, they don't do that. But there's something terribly amiss here.
Oh, I think number one is the political inexperience of the top leaders. Number two is that they don't have the courage to take necessary steps, and they take the right step at the wrong time or the wrong step at the right time. This kind of thing. And to break this oligopoly, I think we'll have to think about what we had in 1950s. We all know that 1/3 of the population in this country live in the Western Province. And the biggest market for rice is in the Western Province. And when you take the municipal areas like, say, Galle, Ratnapura, Hambantota or Kurunegala, those municipal areas, along with this Western Province, it covers 50% of the total population in the country. 50% of the total population live in these municipal areas and the Western Province. And for this, there was a marketing strategy adopted in 1950s. I think Honorable D.S. Senanayak was instrumental in late 40s to set up this system. The paddy was transported by railway, and all paddy stores were erected, established closer to railway stations.
I see. So we had strategically located distribution points.
Right.
That's what it is.
That's
right?
what it is.
And how many did we have? 4. 4 of these points in the different.
No, a lot.
Oh, okay.
Many paddy stores were there.
Okay.
But they were established closer to railway stations, and by railway those paddy bulk paddy was brought to Veyangoda, Maradagahamula processing and marketing hub for paddy.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Okay.
And from there, it was brought to the Western Province, where the highest percentage of population was living.
What's happened to all these places now?
These things were not maintained. One time the Paddy Marketing Board was scrapped by the SLP, and it was re-established by the SLP thereafter. And this good system of marketing was not being supported. Now, Paddy Marketing Board today is able to purchase only 9% of the total production, which is not enough. If the government is going to set up checks and balances on the price structure of paddy, they should at least purchase 40% of the total production through the Paddy Marketing Board. Now, the bigger amounts are bigger slice is being purchased by the big time rice millers. I'm not for a minute, I won't say that they should be destroyed. No, we should encourage them more. But the government should have checks and balances by establishing their own paddy, purchasing more through the Paddy Marketing Board, and re-establishing the big rice mills where we had Suryawewa, Hinguraggoda, Suryawewa, Hinguraggoda, Hasalaka. We had massive rice mills. These were established during Madam Sirimao Bandaranaike's time.
Now, we'll carry on with this after we go for this break. But I'm going to read out a message. Can they stop giving subsidized meals to those fat MPs in Parliament? Maybe with all the free food they get, they do not understand what hunger is, not how important agriculture is for this country. This is even worse than in Sirimavu's time. Can you please read this out? I've done that. When we come back, we'll discuss that and a bit more with Dr. Hemakumara Nanayakkara, who is our guest this evening. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
What decision did the president take regarding chemical fertilizer and agrochemicals? Was the importation of nano-nitrogen fertilizer done in a fraudulent manner?
මන්ත්‍රීතුමිය විසින් කරන ලද මේ ප්‍රකාශය මා තරයේ ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරමි.
Prices of rice packets and plenty to increase. What did Reverend Father Cyril Gamini tell the CID? Indictments filed against Pujit Jayasundara and Hemasiri Fernando for not taking prompt action to prevent the April 21st attacks. Female MPs of both factions complain against MP Tissa Kuttiarachchi.
රාජපක්ෂවරු මෙම ප්‍රකාශය අනුමත කරනවාද කියනක ඔබතුමා මේ සභාවට දැනුම් දෙන්න.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with Dr. Hemakumara Nanayakkara, former minister, former governor, and former member of parliament. Now then, Dr. Hemakumara, do you think that stopping the free food at parliament will help our legislators to focus their minds on the problem? The problem is that they need to understand the people's difficulties and, you know, not to mess about with all this blessed changing over of from this fertilizer to that fertilizer, ships lying about, incurring hundreds and thousands of dollars in demurrages and so on, for some commercial mistake or some commercial problem in which whoever is responsible should be summarily sacked from that office without any pension. Because, you know, a pension is your right only if you've delivered. And if you haven't delivered, you might as well be kicked off. Do you think it'll help? A small thing, but, you know.
You're referring to the free meals given in Parliament?
Yes, or subsidized.
Yes, subsidized, yes. I remember a long time ago when I was there, we had to pay only 5 rupees.
Right.
For lunch. Then we protested, a group of MPs, we protested, we said it has to be raised according to the price structure at that time, at least to 35 to 40 rupees. But it was not done, and I brought my packet of lunch from home. And it was prohibited to bring like that.
Oh, really?
But I said, no, you report to the speaker. Then the speaker was Mr. Vijamulu Kubandar. I said, I'm going to bring it until you raise it. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but this history, the parliamentary people who work in the parliament, they know this. And finally, we were protesting and they raised it to 35 rupees at that time. But I think MPs and ministers should be allowed to bring their own packets of lunch from home. Maybe they could be served with tea and maybe...
We'll get subsidized everything. They even get low interest loans.
I think...
I had a former member of parliament, he was, Faisal Mustafa, tell me this on this program.
Right.
I don't really want to sort of spend too much time on those 225 in parliament, because they haven't achieved much for the people of this country.
Right.
Tell me more about the rice problem.
Now,
this is astonishing. We give them the water free. We, as in the state, gives them water free, which is the integral component of their production.
Right.
And then once they get the goodies, they say, well, you know, you go where you want to, but we are not going to let you control the price.
Right. Which is a very unfair thing. If the government is able to fix the price for rice, the poor people and...
Do they tax them in some way to sort of compensate for the water?
No, farmers are not being taxed for that. It has been a tax-free resource given to farmers from ancient Sinhala kings' days. So it has been the practice. I think it's a good thing because it is a direct subsidy given to the farmer to produce more and more rice. We have to have our food security in this country. But, something that we cannot agree with is our productivity levels are fairly low.
But why is that then?
That is the inputs are not coming in time.
Do you know, Dr. Hemakumara, I was going to ask you, with this rice business, and these fellows getting all the water free, but the smaller farmers don't even get that benefit in the sense that they can get a subsidy or something, but they're not getting even that. And the bigger ones are not even taxed on that to reflect the water use. They need to find some system. After all, the country, the treasury doesn't have enough money.
True. But I think, in my opinion, I think the water should be given free of charge, indiscriminately, because then they will produce more and more rice. We don't have to import.
But they're getting rice and they're producing and we're importing and we don't have dollars.
Yeah, we are importing rice with this fertilizer and agrochemical ban. Because without those inputs, these newly developed rice varieties cannot sustain. For them, they make massive responsiveness to fertilizer, agrochemicals and irrigation. That's how those varieties were bred by the rice breeders, starting from Norman Bullock and others. And as I said, Paddy Marketing Board can purchase only 9%.
Right.
They should go up to 40% if they are to fix the price on a kilo of rice. And there are a lot of rice mills in Batticaloa. For an example, I will say Hamid Rice Mills, Soma Rice Mills, Vijay Surya Rice Mills. They were there in Batticaloa and Ampara districts. Now, none of those rice mills exist. Only about 5 to 6 big-time rice millers are operating from Polonnaruwa. It's okay. We must not destroy them. And we, as I said before, I would reiterate, they are responsible for giving us a good, clean, quality rice for our consumption. Stone-free, pebble-free, sand-free, all that. No aflatoxin, nothing. But we can't allow them to go on with this oligopoly, which is responsible for the increase of rice prices day by day. During the era of 1960-65, the then government established rice mills with, as I told you, in areas like Surya Weber, Hasalaka, and Hinguraku.
Yeah.
Now these rice mills are just lying there. It's unattended. Now, under a Chinese line of credit or whatever, we can bring in new machinery, new storage silos, and develop these rice mills and have a healthy competition with the private sector without killing the private sector. With this healthy competition, if they process rice and give it to the CWE, they can distribute all this rice through cooperative stores in the villages and other areas.
Do they have enough of the efficiency? Because,
I
usually associate the CWE and Satosa with intense corruption.
It is up to the government. We have been doing this earlier. It is up to the government to set up a corruption-free, efficient system for this. A good cooperative commissioner, good food commissioner and all that. But how can we expect a corrupt-free system in Satosa or cooperative movement when the government is corrupt to the core? This is my question.
What's the... okay, I'll ask you. What's the real story with this blessed fertilizer? We had information where the ministry secretary say that it's been allowed, as in the government done a U-turn, changed their mind, however you want to style it, but it was reversed. Then we have the Minister of Agriculture who says, no, we didn't say that. What's going on?
I think Minister of Agriculture has not been informed of the decision made by the President and the top brass. Secretary Professor Jayasinghe has said categorically that they are importing the chemical fertilizers and other relevant agrochemicals, insecticides, fungicides and herbicides. Minister Mahinda Ananda says, no, we have not taken a decision to import any of these things.
Okay, sorry, come on.
Okay. Then Shashendra Rajapaksa, State Minister, had said, we are going to have, that they were going to have a discussion with the President in order to revert this process and import all agrochemicals and chemical fertilizers. Probably Mahinda Ananda Alutgamage, Minister of Agriculture, would have been kept in the dark for some unknown reason. I don't know why. Otherwise,
and who, Dr. Hemakumara, is going to be held responsible for the disaster that is also known as the ship waiting outside Colombo in the waiting area, the Hippo Spirit, with all this fertilizer?
I think it should be from the President himself, and the Cabinet, and the Ministry of Agriculture, including the Minister.
But all their salaries together isn't going to come up to $8 million.
No, it's not going to come up to $8 million. But I think after a fair inquiry, or maybe after a trial in the court, I think their personal assets also should be confiscated and recover these losses.
I love it because, proceeds of crime is something that Sri Lanka doesn't seem to be taking too much note about. And even if I have to mention it, the bond scammers, we have seen no move towards at least freezing their assets pending the outcome of court cases, which is something the DEA in the United States do. So what's going to be the end story here? Are we going to, somebody somewhere is standing in line waiting to make money by importing rice? Is that the net result?
That is, on one hand, it could happen, and it is happening at the moment. On the other hand, they don't have a plan. Everything is amateurist and very ad hoc. Some medical doctor comes and advises, stop all agrochemicals and agrofertilizers. The government took the stand to stop it.
But what a colossal loss, what a colossal political cost as well, because there have been protests all over the place, all over the place. They have forgotten
the majority of the people from this 1.8 million families, rice farming families, majority of them have voted with this present government. And present government, as I said at the very outset, they have failed politically and they have failed economically. Their systems have failed in this country. So that's why they come under this country comes under the definition of a failed state.
My goodness me. Think of all the gilded prospects that awaited our country all this time, since 1948, and what a waste of time it has been. What chances of survival of this government?
I think chances are very remote, as they know that they are very unpopular, extremely unpopular at the moment. They are bringing some excuse, and they don't want to have the provincial council elections. And next year in February they should have the local government elections. I hear that also they are trying to postpone by 1 year, or they have taken a decision already. Because they know they are fighting for survival. But every day they are the government is deteriorating, and also the people have completely lost faith in these individuals who are running the government, with on the top gear having nepotism, family bandism, and underhand deals without any transparency. People are sick of this government because of these things.
Dr. Hemakumara Nanayakkara, that was a powerful finish. I think we need to broadcast that again and again and again. Thank you for being on Newsline Live, and that's the way it was on Newsline Live this evening. Do take care, and as always, God bless you.
Thank you.